There are reports saying that it was the English side, which has English and Spanish on it. It was not that side. It was also not the side with Russian and Chinese. In fact, based on the orientation of the monument and based on the map, it would appear that it's the side with Hindi and Swahili that was blown up. I'm going to go ahead and assume the reason they chose that side is because it's farthest away from the road and the cameras, but there's at least 4 cameras in that complex. It's one of the most heavily filmed monuments that I've ever visited. I did find it very interesting to learn that the United Nations helped translate many of these languages for the carving of this.
And I'm certainly not in favor of destroying monuments generally. I mean, whatever from the past is valuable, even if it was erected by a dictator. This particular monument, though, really is in the face of humanity because it appears to call for a reduction of population that is drastic and both disgusting and criminal. In a very daring and offensive way, it poses to undo all the rights and ways of life of most of the countries of the world, and puts the idea that their population generally is both undesirable and a plague upon the earth.
Cancer. Be not a cancer on the earth is what it says, yeah.
Again, it is by the very people who own the most polluting and toxifying corporations on the planet. Those are the kind of CEOs and thinkers for those
billionaires that go to the little meetings where they talk about population control.
Yeah, some of them, if you read them by themselves, might sound nice, like be friendly to nature and love truth and the infinite universe. Well, how could anyone who could connect with the infinite universe and love truth and beauty possibly hold the mentality that 9 out of 10 people's lives are worthless and that we should depopulate to such an extreme level? Through what means? Well, there is no way to depopulate to an extreme level without being a tyrannical douchebag and a murdering piece of crap. Certainly it won't be with the consent of everyone unless you brainwash them
unless the world becomes a cult.
Well, that may have happened actually, but
oh, that's sad.
This looks every bit like an angry population that has had enough of globalist people telling the rest of the world what to do, making veiled, vaguish threats about cutting off everyone's resources and money and, forcing them to stay home and cutting them off from meat and gasoline and other major resources. Certainly I don't condone violence or terroristic acts or, destruction of private property. But I understand the anger behind it. And obviously, we're all pretty fed up with what's going on. We understand why 9 out of 10 people wouldn't want 9 out of 10 people suddenly to disappear from the planet. I mean, we just all need to never drive cars again and never eat meat again.
And never fart to breathe again.
It would be really nice if 9 out of 10 of you never breathed again for the earth.
I will just never forget when we were there and those women were there and they were reading the little dictates. And she was like, oh, yes, that does seem like a good idea. 500 million, that seems like a good idea. And I've never understood those people who do that because they always think they're going to be one of the 500 million. And them and their families and the people they care about, they'll be part of that number. And everyone else will die, I guess. I don't know. I don't know.
All right, we're going to call the Elberton Granite Association and see what's going on. Oh, hi. I was just calling here this is Matt Baker from San Diego News. We're just calling to get some more information on what happened with the Georgia Guidestones. But from what I heard, there was surveillance on it. Who was paying for the surveillance?
The county.
The county was just paying for it as a tourist attraction in general? Okay. And so...
Well, yeah.
Did you think it was strange that they tore it down so quickly, like without permits or anything like that they just managed to tear it down considering supposedly an ongoing investigation?
Well, it had to be taken down for safety reasons. And there would be no permits that would be required here in Gilbert County for that. when the Georgia Bureau of Investigation was doing their investigation, once they cleared the site of any other devices that may have been there, they wanted to actually start getting up close to where the stones were and moving things around a little bit. And the other pieces had been compromised, and capstone was severely damaged, and they were going to have to remove it because of the fear of it falling and injuring somebody that was working below. So when they did so, they removed that top cap. Immediately, some of the other pieces fell. And
one more question is, where do you think that the debris would go? Yeah, so have people been bidding on trying to get the stones just for the historical value?
I've had a lot of interest and a lot of people asking about if they can get a piece of the guidestones.
Yeah. Is there any rumblings that they may be closing in on a suspect?
There was video surveillance that was
The perpetrator?
no, just of the explosion and of a vehicle.
Were they able to get license plates off that? Do you know?
I don't know. I don't know.
Okay.
But I would imagine that there is additional video based on the fact that the cameras were live streaming from there. It's really kind of tragic. We hate the fact that this has happened here. I know some people did not entirely like all the wording that was on them, and that's fine and understandable. But just because somebody didn't like what was on them, it really is sad that they took it upon themselves to make sure that nobody else could read it and interpret it on their own. And the wording was open to interpretation.
지랄하고 자빠졌네.